that that they had to kind of uphold this, you know, I can bear all the weight myself, and helping other people is important. So being caring and nurturing to family and to friends and being supportive of themselves, but not necessarily taking care of their own mental health and their own, you know, what they can balance at home as well. And then lastly, so this was the first one, and it was looking at institutional characteristics. So you know, I was like, there's so much to study on Latino men. What do I start with? And so I used IPED's data just to kind of look at institutional characteristics, right? So what types of, and looked at graduation rates. So where are Latino males graduating at the highest rates, at what types of institutions? And so here we found that Latino men who were enrolled in suburban colleges and those institutions with higher levels of enrollment had higher graduation rates for the Latino males. And so I mean, part of that was surprising. You know, I had asked Luke, you know, why is it that those students who are at urban colleges, or even some of those that were in like the small rural towns, that those institutions didn't have higher graduation rates? And so, I mean, I think, you know, quantitative, it only tells us what, it doesn't tell us why. And so I think we kind of were just postulating, like, well, maybe being from a very small town means, you know, added pressure, because everybody knows you, and maybe there's more pull factors for you to not be in school, and maybe, you know, have to tend to your family. Thinking about rural communities, agricultural communities, even farming communities, it could be. So what are some, even, you know, pull factors for work? How is that impacting our Latino men? So, like I said, I mean, I think there's still so much to uncover about Latino males in the community college. So anyone that's looking to do a dissertation, this is a great topic. And I think it's important for multiple reasons, right? I think it gives us, I mean, research gives us a perspective, right? Something to start from, somewhere to start, a baseline, so that we can continue asking more questions, asking additional questions about, you know, how do we support our Latino male students at our community colleges? So one area that I explored was sense of belonging, this concept of sense of belonging. I think Alexander brought it up yesterday on the end of the panel, right? This kind of feeling like he had a faculty member that made him feel like he belonged. And I think, you know, and I also get asked, why did you choose sense of belonging? Like, why didn't you pick something else? And I think I know, obviously I'm not Latino male, but I felt like when I was reflecting on my own personal academic journey, and maybe for yourselves as well, right? So when you think about what helped you be successful, you know, what helped you get from where you were and continue on, you know, to earn whatever degrees it was, what were those factors that helped you be successful? And when I was reflecting on it for myself, I kept coming back to people. There was people that were in my life and my educational journey that mentored me, that supported me, that gave me positive, validating messages, that told me I could do it. And I think in my first year of the doc program, I struggled, I think, a lot with having that sense of belonging. And I realized how powerful that feeling was, you know, to feel like you belong, and to feel that, and it's, you know, belonging goes as far back as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's one of our most basic needs that a human needs to have a fulfilled life. And so Charles Strayhorn offered this definition of sense of belonging. So in educational settings, the need to belong can drive students to behave in a particular way that may lead to positive and or pro-social outcomes, such as engagement, achievement, well-being, and happiness. So I thought, wow, like something so untangible as sense of belonging could be so powerful enough that it could impact a person's actions and behaviors. And so I guess I started thinking, like, well, what does it take to support sense of belonging among students? Like, what type of what does that look like at our institutions? And so I started looking at frameworks, right? So I started looking at, okay, what do we know about, you know, just in general about theories on engagement and student success and social integration. And here, you know, so you probably are familiar with Aston, Tinto's, and Ku's theories on social integration and student involvement and engagement, and how important it is that a student they find that the more that students are involved at their campuses, the more that they're engaged with their peers, the more that they're engaged with their faculty, the more likely they are to be successful because they've become integrated into this social element of the institution itself. And so kind of, you know, the more that they're there, the more that they're engaging with their friends and their peers, the more likely they're going to feel like they belong there. Again, these theories were, when they were developed primarily based on research of students at four-year institutions, right? And so I think even challenging that, right? When we think about our students at our community colleges, they are commuter students. They're working full-time. They might have children. They may be taking one or two classes. Maybe they're taking classes in the evening and they can't be there for, you know, campus activities in the day. So I think when I was looking at these theories, I just felt like these theories, we can't apply these to community college students because our students are so unique and complex and different that they don't live on campus, right? I mean, I know some community colleges do have residential housing, but for the most part, our students are living off campus. And so I think the other thing that I found interesting is when I started reading literature and frameworks by Rendon, her validation theory, and Hurtado and Carter, they started looking at campus climate and the role that campus climate played on a student's ability or interest to want to engage, right? So all the theories on this right-hand side, it's really kind of putting the onus of these actions on the student, right? So all these folks kind of said, well, yes, the more that students engage, the more likely they were to be successful. The more that they came to campus and were involved, the more likely they were to be successful. But folks on the other end, Rendon, Hurtado Carter, Solorzano, Villalpando, kind of challenged that and said, well, if a campus doesn't provide a positive campus climate, how are you ever going to expect your student to engage at your campus? If a student doesn't feel welcome at your campus, they're not going to engage. If your student feels that there's a hostile racial campus climate, they're not going to want to come to your campus. And so they challenged this thinking of putting the responsibility on the student and saying, hey students, you all need to come and engage, to putting the responsibility on the institution. So what are we doing at our institutions to create welcoming environments? What are our faculty doing in the classrooms to make students feel like they belong and that they're welcome and that they're cared about? So these were some, I think, of the frameworks when we do research on men of color. I think it's kind of, we need to look at both sides and coupling, you know, the role of the student, but also the role of the institution. So I'm gonna save you from all the fun data, and somebody mentioned like ANOVAs yesterday, cracked me up. So I'll save you from my hierarchical linear regression stuff up here. But so I think for me though, it was this idea of like, so what, again I mentioned, you know, the idea was like what factors predicted sense of belonging for Latino men in community colleges? And so I came up with this conceptual model based on literature in general. So remember, there was not anything written on Latino men in community colleges, and there wasn't very much written in general on sense of belonging of men of color or students in general at community colleges. Most of this literature is being pulled from literature at four-year institutions, and not even students of color. It could just be a mix of students, right? So it lacked kind of this unique characteristics that I was interested in, but I was like, hey, this is what's out there, let's test this, right? So pulled some data together, used SASE, because that's what was available at the time. I know SASE was, I get challenged on SASE a lot, but I think at the time the CCSN didn't exist. So this is the data set that I used that was available, but so I used a national data set, and this is kind of the way that I broke down the data set itself. So in the end, the data that I had came from 13,327 Latino male respondents from 187 institutions across the country. So here's the fans, if anybody's interested. I was like, somebody's gotta be in here from IR. So they gotta be interested. So, you know, here's just what I did, the hierarchical multi-level regression. These are the different blocks and variables that I looked at. Okay, I'm gonna save you from my p-scores and betas and all that good stuff, and just kind of jump into what I found. So, for Latino men in community colleges, these were the factors that predicted sense of belonging for them. So in terms of age, the older that a Latino male was, the higher their sense of belonging at the campus. which I thought was interesting, right? And so I think, I kind of thought, well, maybe the